Hi everyone and welcome back. So today we're going to look at mapping some basic multi-level structures. So this is just going to serve as a review of the main symbols used to map multi-level structures, and we'll go through one or two concrete situations. The new symbols to map multi-level structures were introduced in a second version of ISSPROM 2019, and they allow us to map basic underpasses, overpasses, tunnels, up to a maximum of 2 levels. Okay, so we have a map sample open here, and we're going to use this just as a demonstration of the most basic multi-level situation we could find, which is basically a bridge running over a path underneath where a competitor is able to run across the bridge on the top or underneath the bridge. So let's imagine that this is a previous version of the map where multi-level wasn't mapped. And we have to update this to the new specification, to the new symbols, and we're going to do that now. So the first symbol we have to consider is 512.1, bridge or tunnel entrance. And that's this line of black triangles. So a line of black triangles basically designates where you can pass into a multi-level structure. And specifically, you're going to be moving into the lower level. So running into black triangles would be running into the lower level of a multi-level structure. So there's two parts. You're entering a multi-level structure and you're entering the lower level of that structure. So we want to update this uncrossable wall symbol to the new bridge or tunnel entrance symbol at the points where you can actually cross under the bridge. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole bridge. Let's say that it's from here to here. So these parts at the end, we're going to leave them as uncrossable wall, which means that you can't cross under the bridge here. And then we want to replace this part with our bridge or tunnel entrance symbol. Which is going to look like this. We're going to do that again on the other side. So we just cut it there and here, just be rough, because this is an example. And again, we're going to draw on the other side. So this is the first step. We've made the change where we've replaced the part of the wall, the part of the bridge that you can cross under with this new symbol, bridge or tunnel entrance 512.1. And the parts of the bridge that you can cross under, that is the part of the bridge which isn't multi-level, we leave with uncrossable wall. So now you'll notice in our description of the symbol, it's telling us a cartographic gap of 0.15 millimeters shall apply to the black objects pointing towards the peaks of the triangles. So that's going to be here, black object. So this black line pointing towards the peaks of the triangles, there should be a 0.15 millimeter gap here. So to do that properly, I'm going to use a helper symbol. You can see over here, I have a purple point symbol, 0.15 millimeter diameter. And I'm going to use this just to mark along the edge of the triangle here. And then I just want to make sure that my black line is not touching those helper symbols. And the same on the other side. There we have it. And the same over here. Okay, so our bridge is coming together. So the next symbol that we want to be aware of is 512.2 underpass or tunnel. So this is basically the symbol that's going to delimit the boundary of the multi-level area. So in this scenario, it's quite straightforward. It's just going to be the sides of the part of the bridge that you can pass under. And now there's also a cartographic gap to be aware of here, and that's of 0.2 millimeters. So I'm going to duplicate my 0.1. We'll just change the name and change the diameter. So this cartographic gap is going to be at the beginning and end of the line. Here and here, and up here and down here. So to pull this back, like this. Get rid of our helper symbols, and the same on the other side. And get rid of our helper symbols. And now the final symbol to have in mind for these simple multi-level structures is 512.3. So it's the area passable at two levels. It's basically just diagonal white lines. And these diagonal white lines will go on top of other symbols, designating that those parts of the map are multi-level. And the color underneath the diagonal white lines should represent the upper part of the multi-level. So let's say we have a tunnel underneath a street. Well, the street will have this color, the paved area color. Therefore, we'll have this diagonal white lines over our paved area color. If we had a tunnel underneath park, underneath open land, we would have the diagonal white lines on top of a yellow color. So let's draw this symbol now in our example. And it's going to be like this. Draw halfway across the underpass symbol. And there we go. So this is our completed example. There's three parts, three symbols to use to create this multi-level effect. So the first one is the black teeth, which indicate where you can pass to the lower level of a multi-level area. We have the underpass symbol, which designates the limits of the multi-level. And we have the area passable at two level symbol, which designates the area that is multi-level. And if we were just to change this example slightly and just bring everything in, you would notice that we can only fit one dash in our underpass symbol. So the minimum length is two dashes. So in these cases where we have a very thin multi-level area, it's acceptable to not use those on the underpass symbol because we don't want one dash. The minimum length is two dashes. If you're forced down to one dash, you leave that symbol off, and it's just a case of the black triangles and the area passable at two levels symbol. Okay, so let's imagine another basic example, but this time taking it a bit further than a simple bridge and mapping an actual area, a multi-level area. So you can see here, there's a stairs that leads up to an upper level. And here, basically what we have at the top is an upper level, but underneath that, there's a lower level, which is, let's say, a car park. And the entrance to the car park is down here. So we're going to cut the entrance. We're going to add in our teeth, which mark the tunnel entrance. And here in this example, the underpass or tunnel symbol has a more important definition. So we can mark here the area that is multi-level. So basically we're marking the lower level boundary. So let's imagine it's something like this. So again, we fill the part that's multi-level with area passable at 2 levels. And we're going to end up with something like this. So in this example, we have 2 levels. So the very bottom part of the map is single level. You can enter where the teeth are into this lower level. And if you wanted to get to the upper part of this multi-level, you would have to use the stairs. You run up the stairs and you're on top, on the upper part of the multi-level. If you run into the car park, you can only get this far on the lower level. There's probably some wall or something delimiting the end of the car park. You cannot cross this underpass line when you're on the lower level. But yes, when you're on the upper level, you can be on top of the car park, or you can be over here, which is single level. There's only one level of running on this part of the map. Although in reality, you'll probably be high up. You'll be higher up than down here, but the map is representing a single level of running. Anyway, I hope that brief run through was helpful. In future videos, I'm sure we'll get into more complex multi-level mapping situations, but these are the basics. Those are the key symbols that you need to be aware of. And I hope you can take that away and use it in some of your mapping projects. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.